At such time, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Application number 214-23, 111 Realty Corp. Permission to erect gasoline service station on lot having area of 27,473 square feet, effective lot area of 26,754 square feet, instead of required 40,000 square feet, not having a width of 100 feet throughout, canopy with fuel dispensers leaving front yards of 25 feet and 29 feet instead of required 35 feet each, convenience store leaving rear yard of 5 feet and effective rear yard of 0 feet instead of required 10 feet, to install 5 fuel dispensers instead of permitted 4, and generator leaving rear yard of 8 feet, effective rear yard of 0.1 feet instead of required 10 feet. Business 3 District, southwest corner of Union Boulevard and 4th Avenue, Bayshore.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of this board. Appearing on behalf of the applicant, Eugene L. D. Nicola, 200 Railroad Avenue, Sayville, New York. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I handed up some exhibits for the board to follow during my presentation. And at this time, I would respectfully move the board to hear case numbers 21423 and 21523 simultaneously, since they relate to the same property. That's cases 1 and 2.
Sure, let's do that right now. Application number 215-23, 111 Realty Corp. Permission to install 2 facial signs having height of 22.33 feet and 24.25 feet instead of permitted 18 feet each, to install 2 canopy signs having sign area of 31.9 square feet instead of permitted 12 square feet each. Business 3 District, southwest corner of Union Boulevard and 4th Avenue, Bayshore.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Di Nicola, could you please move the board? Apparently, it's blocking the camera. Yeah, over to that side, please. We're good. Thank you.
The applicant is requesting various area variances set forth in the call of the meeting for case number 214-23, and certain sign variances are set forth in the call of the meeting for case number 215-23, all in conjunction with the redevelopment of an existing gasoline service station with a convenience store located at 1692 Union Boulevard, Bayshore. As I indicated, a package of exhibits have been submitted for the board to follow, as well as before and after photos. The physical location of the subject site is the southwest corner of Union Boulevard and 4th Avenue, Bayshore. The area briefly to the north across Union Boulevard is the Bayshore Station of Long Island Railroad and its public parking facilities. To the northeast across Union Boulevard is Joe's Quick Mart convenience store with it has gasoline pumps as part of the convenience store operation. To the east across 4th Avenue on the former Touro College of Science campus, there is presently under construction 418 luxury apartments and its parking facilities. To the south is a surveyor's office building, which is a 1-story office building. And then there's the entrance to the North District Lofts, which is another apartment development. To the west, on the south side of Union Boulevard, there's 1-story attached buildings, which appear to be vacant, except that the building closest to the applicant's property has a permit sign on its door for interior alterations for Take Two Brewery. The intersection is controlled by a multi-phase traffic signal. The subject site itself, to be redeveloped, contains 4 tax lots, and I direct the board's attention to exhibits 2 and 3, or to the exhibit with the multi-index pages 2 and 3. There's a gasoline filling station with a convenient market and a canopy over pump dispensers. That's lot 142.13. Move it up here, but it's on your exhibit. Then abutting on the west is a vacant parcel, tax lot 103. Abutting on the south is a 1-story frame building formerly occupied as an office. That's tax lot 105. And further on the south is a 2-story masonry building formerly occupied as an office building, tax lot 106. So the original gasoline filling station, which is in operation, is on the immediate corner, and the applicant acquired the parcel to the west and two parcels to the south to enlarge the site. The parcel of land on which the gasoline filling station is currently operating is 11,296 square feet. The canopy over the pump dispensers is set back 6.7 feet from Union Boulevard and 13.3 from Fourth Avenue. And that is only because the applicant was given property from the county. They had condemned it for Fourth Avenue, decided they didn't need it, and conveyed it to the adjoining property owner. The existing gasoline filling station has 4 curb cuts, 2 on Union and 2 on Fourth Avenue. The vacant parcel has its own piece, so there's 5 curb cuts presently for the overall site. Some history. The parcel upon which the existing gasoline filling station and convenience store is located was issued a certificate of occupancy on March 30th, 1951. In 1982, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted approval to operate a gasoline service station and convenience store on a parcel of land having less area than was required. That was case number 125-82. In 1998, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved setback variances to erect a canopy at the corner with a setback of 7 feet from Union Boulevard and 0 feet from Fourth Avenue. That was before the conveyance by the county. That was case number 204-98. In 2011, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved the ground sign having a facial area of 66.9 square feet and a height of 15 feet in the BD zoning district, which zoning district did not permit ground signs. In 2023, the applicant has obtained approval from the town board for a change of zone of the overall parcel, that's the 4 tax lots, from business district to business 3 district, granted a town board special permit for a gasoline filling station, and further has obtained a planning board special permit for a convenience market. Those are case CC 2022-011, and the effective date was January 1, 2023, TC 5401. Now, the applicant proposes to demolish all structures and improvements existing on the overall subject parcel and construct a new convenience market and a new canopy over pump dispensers. And if you look at the site plan, that's exhibit 1 in the package, and it is also set forth on the board. The subject parcel is currently in site plan review before the engineering division, and the area variances being requested this evening have been identified as requiring a relief from this board. The gasoline filling station site will be improved dimensionally as follows. I'll just give you some comparisons. The current gasoline filling station has 11,296 square feet. If approved, it will have 27,473 square feet. And the effective zoning, which they that straight line, 40 feet over here. So that, although it is part of the plot area, and 68.3 of the zoning code defines plot area as opposed to the land development regulations, and the land development regulations defers to the ordinance where there's a conflict. The width on Union Boulevard currently is 88.25 feet. It will have 141.18 feet, although in the call of the meeting, you'll notice it says an effective lot width of 40 feet. It's only, again, because of that tag. The advertising used to be not having 100 feet throughout. So now we have effective and non-effective. On Fourth Avenue, the current width street frontage is 75.96 feet. It will have 143.03 feet. The canopy setbacks will be increased from 6.7 feet on Union to 25 feet, and from 13.3 feet on Fourth Avenue to 29 feet. The rear yard for the convenience store is 5-foot setback from the property line, and behind the store is an easement a driveway easement between the applicant's property and the office building, the one-story office building that are referred to on the south. The generator will actually have an 8-foot side yard, although it's been advertised as an effective rear yard as 0.1 feet. Again, because we're looking at straight lines or something. The applicant is proposing 5 pump dispensers. Although 4 pump dispensers are permitted, the number of pump dispensers is based upon the lineal feet frontage, that is the street frontage of the site. However, the number of pump dispensers permits patrons to have service and avoids queue lines. There is plenty of room for adequate on-site vehicular movements for a 5th pump. The board wishes to have any questions regarding that particular issue, or any other issue with regard to the site plan for that matter. The convenience market is placed in a legal location on the site, walking directly in front of the convenience market. The canopy, closer to the boulevard, the convenience market is 15 feet setback is on Union Boulevard. Its architecture, you have photos of the proposed building, and we'll discuss signage now. There are 2 signs on the building. Busy Bee is on the fascia fronting Union Boulevard and on a gable facing 4th Avenue. If you'll notice, the architecture of the building is a nice glass entry, a high glass entry, and the Busy Bee sign facing Union Boulevard is above that entry. It's in a more appropriate location, architecturally speaking, and it is the more appropriate location to place a sign rather than have it in the glass entry area, which would spoil that architectural feature on the building.
Mr. DiNicola, is that part of the application for the 22.33 or 24 instead of 18?
Yeah, yes, it is, Mr. Wexler. Yes. On the the elevation, the height on the elevation facing Union Boulevard is 24 feet 3 inches, and the height on the elevation, rather than permitted 18, if we put 18 feet, it's going to be right in the middle of the glass. And on the 4th Avenue side, it's about 22 feet, 4 inches, rather than 18 feet, really a minor deviation. The other sign variance is for the canopy, logo, where you have the name Valero. Now, when they calculate the sign variance of 31.5 square feet, they take the highest letter, extend it over the name, and box it out, and they come up with 31.5 feet. If you just took the letters in their lower heights and the V for Valero at its height, the actual sign for the square foot area is 21.5 feet. So it's not as critical as it sounds in terms of relief. And it is an attractive sign. It is not garish, does not blink, flash, have any motion, and when it lights up at night, it's just a hue. It does not generate light. It is an attractive sign on an attractive canopy, which is mansard-style canopy. These elevations and the signs have been reviewed by the planning department and presented to the planning board and town board in the prior hearings that have been held on the site, and all without objection. If the variances are granted as requested this evening, there will be no detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. There will be no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood if the variances are granted as requested. In fact, the redevelopment of this site, as you will note on the exhibits which I have submitted, will be an improvement and beneficial to the community. There's no other method for the applicant to pursue other than variances from this board. The requested variances are not substantial in relation to the proposed improvement. The variances, if granted, will not have an adverse effect upon the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. In fact, to the contrary, the redevelopment proposed only will have a beneficial effect on the neighborhood. This investment by the applicant is quite substantial, by the way, and is part of a continuing renaissance, if you will, of the Bay Shore Business District, which will increase the value of properties, create an architecturally attractive and modern facility, as well as add to a stable and improved tax base. As I indicated, I have Mr. Chris Taglia, professional engineer from High Point Engineering, if the board has any questions. And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I respectfully request that the board grant the variances requested as presented. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions from the board?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? Take a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, we'll take separate motions. One for application 21423. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so application 21423 has been granted. I'll take a motion on application 21523. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and application 21523 is granted. Thank you very
Mr.
much. Mr.
Chairman, members of
DiNicola.
the board, have a wonderful evening.
Unless your engineer wants to earn his keep, but he's good.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I said unless your engineer wants to earn his keep, but
Do you want to speak to him one-on-one after, at 9 o'clock?
just your presence.
I'm just
Have a
going to give
wonderful
a
evening.
little
Thank
time
you so
before I
much.
call Mike. Yeah. It is. He actually picked up the full site very recently. Application number 216-23, 62 Bay Walk LLC. Permission to establish legal nonconforming use of two-story mixed-use building, including retail with second-story apartment and attic space. Business 1 District, south side of Bay Walk, 40 feet east of Broadway, Fair Harbor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michael K. Belford. I am the attorney for Nicholas Newman and Stacy Riley, who own a store in Fair Harbor, Fire Island, that is known as Corliss. And it's a retail store selling shirts and bathing suits and anything you might need over at Fire Island for a summer.
Either speak it to the mic, make sure it's on. I can't hear what you're saying.
I don't have much of a voice. I'm sorry. I'll have to work
You're a
on
little
it.
taller
By
than
the
the
way,
last.
it's great to see you again. It's been a
Nice to
while.
see you. Right, it has. In any event, this application basically is to render legal a non-conforming use of a two-story mixed-use building, including retail with second-story apartment and attic space. This building was built in 1929 initially, and there came a time somewhere in the mid-40s where an apartment was added as a second-story rear part of the building by the owner of what was then known, it was a grocery store owned by a fellow by the name of Ernie Grasnick. And
There were
that,
two grocery stores, right? The Pioneer,
that's right.
and this one is the one that's next to the fire department.
That's exactly right.
And what's its name?
His name back in it was Krasnick.
And what was the operating name?
I don't really know that, actually, but it was definitely, it was, if you remember back when I was kicking around, a guy named Lipinski would back his Chesapeake into the slip for the ferries, and it was a short walk across the walk to get all his provisions into the building. But in any event, I've been able to, this.
Lenny's.
That's right.
That was the name of it, Lenny's.
Right. It was good. I've been able to, of course, going the year that I understand that Fire Island became zoned, if you will, was 1948. This building again was built in 1929. There was no CO issued to it since then, believe it or not. And I have three well-known Fair Harbor residents who have signed affidavits indicating that they were then long-term residents who were familiar with this building, familiar with the fact that there was a apartment above that retail operation. And I was just handed, actually, from the National Park Service, a report that they were a number of people were in favor of this application, one of which was the Fair Harbor Community Association. And a number of others, residents of Fair Harbor, who have no objection to this application. I believe that you all have been given a package of pictures that we're taking of this place. It's next door to the fire department. It's very very close to the fire department, actually, and it is just as you come off the ferry, you can't pass. You have to go past this place in order to get anywhere else. So I hope you were able to take a look at these.
So, Mr. Belford, you need to prove to us the elements from 1948, correct?
Well, yes, that would be true.
Okay.
I
And
have go ahead.
the affidavits cover from when to when?
Well, one affidavit covers from 39, 40, 41. Mr. Warren James, who happens to be with me here today. And there were two that are just in the 50s, a little beyond. And not easy to find these kinds of people who have that kind of knowledge, but we did the best we could.
Well, I could state to the board that I am familiar with Lenny's and the Pioneer Fair Harbor. I think I go back to 1962. So I think you need to cover about 20 years before.
No, the fact is that there hasn't been any change to the structure since the Mr. Warren James was here with me again, and now I'm going to give the microphone over to him and to give you his remembrance of this structure that had this apartment and was, a retail store where you have this mixed use situation that we're seeking. And do you have any questions beyond what I've presented?
I don't think we have any questions. Do you have someone that wants to be sworn in? Or?
Yes. I would like to, it's my pleasure to introduce to you a gentleman by the name of Warren James. He is a living legend in terms of the Great South Bay and Fire Island, especially Fair Harbor. And he's a proud veteran, having served in the the Great War, well, not the Great War, but World War II. And I'd like to step forward. Warren was born on July 2nd, 1923. He's got a big birthday coming up. He's been very, very generous with coming here tonight to tell you.
My night out.
Ours too.
Yeah, ours too. So if you could give us your name and address, please, sir?
What's that tell other than the truth?
Name and address.
Just your name and
Warren E. James, 40 Maple Avenue, Bay Shore, New York. Besides a Fire Island address.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Mr. James, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. When do you first remember Lenny's operating and being a two-story mixed-use building? What's the first year you remember it?
the building,
Yes.
well, when I got out of the service and I was running the ferries, that's when that building appeared. And
And what year was that? About 1945, 1946?
no,
Later?
about 40 something.
Before 1948?
About 48. I was running the ferries then. I've been in Fair Harbor since 29. I grew up Somerset.
When was the last time you saw the building? When was the last time you saw the building?
Last summer.
And is it basically the same as it's been all those years?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It's
Thank
been
you.
there a long time.
So have you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application?
Somehow or other, I'm making it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. Any questions from the board on the application?
No.
No? I'll take a motion on the application.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, application is granted. Thank you very much.
very much.
Good seeing you, Mr. Belford.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you still have a place in Fair Harbor?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. You know, Warren has a place in Lonelyville. I mean, he's still over there every weekend.
Wow.
Very, very much.
Thank you.
That's okay. I'd like to think that's the cause. Application number 217-23, John and Adriana O'Toole. Permission to leave shed having rear yard of 3 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, west side of Fernwood Avenue, 300 feet south of Chateau Drive Hotel.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services, with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York.
Do you have any 99-year-old witnesses for us?
Unfortunately, I do not. It's just me tonight. So we're here to leave a shed having a rear yard of 3 feet instead of 4 feet. The property owner was before the board in 1990 and had relief for a shed at 2.5 instead of 4. He replaced it, and unfortunately, because he increased the size a little, he was still off by 1 foot.
Are any questions from the board on this application? No, is there anyone else who'd like to be heard on this application? No? Take a motion on? Second?
I'll second that application.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, application is granted.
Thank you.
Application number 218-23, Ryan and Brianna Mecca. Permission to leave awning and staircase having side yard of 11.4 feet instead of required 14 feet, resulting in floor area ratio of 30.4% instead of permitted 25%. Addition to detached garage having side yard of 0.5 feet instead of required 4 feet. Deck on side property lines not having a required setback of 4 feet each, and rear yard landscaping of 7.8% instead of permitted 40%. Residence B District, south side of Allens Point Road, 150 feet east of Degnon Boulevard, Bay Shore.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. I'm actually here to request an adjournment on this application. The property owner is going to be removing some items that will alter the calculations of the FAR and the rear yard occupancy.
So since we're going to be amending the call of the meeting, most likely it would be best if we amend it till 4 weeks from tonight, which would be April 25.
April 25th, yes.
Okay, application is adjourned until April 25th. Thank you.
Great, thank you, have a good night.
Application number 219-23, Jerry and Nicole Webb. Permission to erect second-story addition and porch, leaving floor area ratio of 29.9% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, west side of Myrtle Avenue, 100 feet south of 3rd Street, West Islip.
Hi, good evening. I'm Nicole Webb. This is my husband, Jerry Webb.
Please state your address, so you know it's,
223 Myrtle Avenue, West Islip, New York, 41795.
thank you.
So we are actually putting an addition above our garage and just adding a bathroom and a bedroom and adding a front porch. We know that it does increase the floor area ratio, but we do know that our neighbors have similar floor area ratios as well because they just renovated their homes.
David, do you have no objections? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, application's been granted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Application number 220-23, Edward and Sarah Japala. Permission to leave pool patio having side yard of 4.8 feet instead of required 6 feet. 2 sheds having side yards of 1.6 feet and 0.6 feet instead of required 2 feet each. And roofed over outdoor kitchen, all having rear yard landscaping of 34% instead of required 40%. Residence A District, west side of Wedgewood Drive, 141.66 feet north of Lee Street, Hop Hop.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Michael Rant from North Coast Civil, 39 West Main Street, Oyster Bay, New York, 11771, representing the owners of 140 Wedgewood Drive. We're seeking approval to maintain an existing roofed-over outdoor kitchen and accessory patios in the rear yard. I would like to submit for the record, I have some consent letters from 3 of the adjoining properties and a packet of photographs of the subject parcel. I do have. The property was purchased by the owner with an in-ground pool. He made some modifications by adding some on-grade patios and an outdoor kitchen with a roof over. The outdoor kitchen roof over is compliant as far as the height and setback. We are seeking a variance for the required landscape area. I did submit a packet of photographs that show the existing conditions. Although we are deficient on the landscaping, there is a substantial amount of landscaping. It is heavily vegetated from the neighboring properties, and it's a well-maintained property. The sheds that we're seeking variances are small portable sheds. One shed is 36 square feet, and the other shed is 46 square feet. Again, these are portable plastic structures, and we feel that they're in character with other sheds in the area that don't maintain that required setback. And there is a patio setback variance for 4.8 feet, where 6 feet is required. There's a small sliver of patio on the north side of the pool, which does not meet the 6 feet. The letters of consent that were submitted, there's the neighbor directly adjacent to the north submitted a letter of consent. The neighbor to the rear submitted a letter of consent, and the neighbor across the street. We did contact the neighbor to the left. They're on vacation, so they weren't able to get a letter.
In
But-
the photographs that you handed up, what are those spiky things on the pool?
Those are, I believe, so birds don't land on that.
I thought it was to stop kids from jumping into the shallow.
Overall, it's a well-maintained property. It's heavily vegetated. We do have the letters of consent, and we feel that the maintaining of these structures will not create any additional adverse impact to the surrounding property. Any questions from the board? I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anyone on the board have any questions? No? No? Anybody else like to be heard on this application?
Are you in?
Make a motion that we approve the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application's been approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Application number 221-23, Wester, Sandville, and Mildred Renee. Permission to leave second-story addition, 28 by 40, having floor area ratio of 28% instead of permitted 25%, and shed having side yard of 1.7 feet instead of required 2 feet. Residence A District, north side of Wiley Street, 281.45 feet east of Grand Boulevard, Brentwood.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Kathleen McHenry, Long Island Permits, P.O. Box 5, Center Moriches, New York, 11934. Sure, MCHENRY. We are here before you requesting permission to somewhat erect, somewhat maintain, it's halfway done, second-story addition, 28 by 40, having an FAR of 28% instead of the required 25%, and to leave a shed, 8.5 by 10 feet, having a side yard of 1.7 feet instead of the required 2 feet. The client purchased the property back in July and started doing repairs in order to make the residence livable. Although aware he needed permits, his intention was to just get the residence secure and then obtain permits. As the roof had so much damage, it was beginning to damage the rest of the home. He received a stop work order, which is when he was made aware of the encroachment of the shed and the requirement of the FAR of 25%. I have submitted for the board's consideration pictures of the subject property, as well as surrounding properties in the neighborhood that appear to go over their FAR as well. Most of the houses in that area are pretty much the same size, but there are a few of them that are a little bit larger than ours even. Based on the character of the neighborhood and Brentwood as a whole, we believe the relief we are seeking is minor, and that if granted, we would be in fact keeping with the nature and characteristics of the surrounding properties and have no negative impact on the neighborhood. I welcome any questions the board may have.
Thank you. Anybody on the board have questions? No? Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? Take a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, application's been granted.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Application number 222-23, Timothy and Jordan Aiello. Permission to erect one-story addition, leaving front yard of 24.2 feet instead of required 30 feet. Rear yard of 17 feet instead of required 25 feet. Second-story addition, leaving front yard of 19.4 feet instead of required 30 feet. Rear yard of 24 feet instead of required 25 feet. Roofed over porch, leaving rear yard of 19 feet instead of required 25 feet. And portico, leaving front yard of 17.1 feet instead of permitted encroachment setback of 24 feet. To leave wall on front property line, not having required setback of 4 feet. 6-foot fence, having front yard of 4.5 feet instead of required 10 feet. And to use dwelling for two-family, family use only pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-419.1. Residence A District, southeast corner of Kensington Avenue and Academy Street, Bayport.
Good evening. John Bracco, architect, 111 Railroad Avenue, Sayville, New York. Good evening, members of the board. John Bracco on behalf of the applicants, Jordan and Timothy Aiello. I have with me also tonight Henry and Dawn Haseman, which are the Jordan Aiello's parents. We're here this evening, and Henry and Jordan are with us, obviously. They're looking to add additions to the home that if the board was to grant, they'd be moving into the home to grant the variances we are requesting. Sorry. We are here before you tonight in regards to 2 front and rear side yard setbacks for a proposed 1-story and 2nd-story additions to the existing 2-story residence. The 2 most important points to make on this application are, first, the proposed additions, with the exception of the 4-foot by 8-foot portico, do not get any closer to the existing property lines than the house already is. And second, we were able to find several other similar grants within 500 feet of the subject parcel, including a prior front yard setback grant for the subject parcel itself. Therefore, we feel the setback variances we're seeking are well within the nature and character of the neighborhood. The applicants are also seeking a special exception to use the dwelling temporarily as a 2-family dwelling for family use only. The special exception would be for Jordan Aiello's parents, the Hasemans. Henry has had chronic knee problems over the past 10 years and has had surgery on both knees. And Dawn herself, unfortunately, is going in for knee surgery next month as well. They currently live in a split-level home, which has become difficult for Henry over the past several years, and now also for Dawn. The special exception would allow them to live on one level, which would afford them a better quality of life, as well as being close to their daughter and new grandchild. The proposed portico is small in size at 4 feet by 8 feet, and the applicants have no intention of ever enclosing it. In regards to the existing block wall, the zoning code allows an 18-inch high wall on the property line. This existing wall is only 2 inches higher than that at 20 inches high. And lastly, in regards to the fence on Ocean Avenue, it would be relocated to outside of the site triangle, which would leave an existing 10-foot section of 6-foot high fence that would be 4 feet from the property line and 7.5 feet from the edge of the pavement. But I think it is important to note that the board did grant a variance for the detached garage on Ocean Avenue to be 2 feet from the Ocean Avenue property line. So the fence is not blocking any sight line that the garage is not already blocking. If the board has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
If I may, Mr. Bracco, do you have precedent for these various encroachments? It seems like the portico, the roofed over porch, I thought you said it's not going any closer to the street.
Yeah, I said all the proposed additions are not getting any closer to the property lines than the house is now, with the exception of the 4-foot by 8-foot portico.
So these, again, I'm trying to look at the survey, but
Sure.
how do the additions, they're staying in the exact footprint?
They are staying, no, they're not staying within the exact footprint, but anything that we're requesting a variance for is not getting closer than the house already is. In other words, what we're seeking variances for is the front yard. If you look to the west, you'll see the proposed 2nd floor addition, which is going right over an existing 1-story portion of the house. That's requesting a front yard setback. Okay, the addition to the east meets the setback on the west side on the front yard. That's requesting a rear yard variance, which again we're right in line with an existing 1-story portion of the house, so that is not getting any closer. So as far as those setback requests for the proposed additions, we're not getting any closer than the house already is. The 4-foot by 8-foot portico is the one exception where we are getting closer at 17.1.
You don't, no, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the 6-foot fence, which is on Ocean Avenue, as I stated, they're going to move the portion of the fence that was in the site triangle, so it will no longer be in the site triangle. The only thing they were looking to keep, if you see adjacent to that detached garage, there's an additional 10-foot section, which is actually 4 feet back of the detached garage that's there already. So it was granted, the detached garage was granted a variance from the front yard Ocean Avenue setback of 2 feet. This would be 4.5 feet back, so it's not really obstructing anywhere near as worse as the detached garage already is. Yes, I believe so. Yeah. Right. We're not opposed to, if we have to, either, lowering it to a 4-foot height or moving it just at those few extra feet. We're relocating the majority of it anyway, so it's not a huge problem for us.
Which sight line are you modifying? Back portion.
But if you're relocating it or lowering it, then you don't have to worry about it. You'll be compliant. In other words, if we deny so much of that application regarding the fence, you'll be compliant.
Oh, no, I know. The part that was in the side triangle, we are relocating. But there's one section that abuts the detached garage, which is seeking the variance. That's what it's for. It's supposed to be 10 feet back, as I know, 6 feet high. Right now, the existing 6-foot high fence is 4.5 feet back from that property line. It's going to go on the diagonal, so it'll be out of the side triangle, yes, at 6 feet high.
But isn't it still too close to the property? So then, if we deny that part of it, they can do what they want. Okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you.
It is, it's based on medical hardship, as testified, the applicants have orthopedic issues and are having trouble with the stairs. Their daughter and grandchild is moving in.
Any other questions from the board? No? Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? No, so I'll take a motion on the amended, right? We're going to amend the,
No, you don't have to, just
No, I
deny.
think we're just going to deny that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then.
Thank you.
Application number 223-23, Maria Peralta. Permission to leave one-story addition to detached garage, 6.2 by 22, having side yard of 6.6 feet instead of required 10 feet. Residence B District, west side of Stein Drive, 100 feet south of Fairtown Road, Bay Shore.
Good evening. Please state your name and address for the stenographer.
Okay, my name is Henry Alcantara, 1776 Stein Drive, Bay Shore.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe one just, Deacon, do we have any precedent or something close to 6.6? Right. Okay.
It's in line.
Yeah, it's in line. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else like to be heard on this application? No? Take a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, the application's been granted.
Now, he knows how to make an application.
Yeah, I tell you.
As few words as possible.
Sit him down with Gene and go.
Application number 224-23, Michelle Hawkins. Permission to leave detached garage, 12.4 by 33.5, having side yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 4 feet, and having 15 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of required 20 feet. Complete patio, having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet. Platform having side yard of 1.3 feet and rear yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 4 feet each. And driveway on-side property line not having required setback of 4 feet. And front yard occupancy of 70% instead of permitted 40%. Residence B District, north side of Montana Avenue, 264 feet east of Ohio Avenue, Bay Shore.
Good evening, please state your name and address for the stenographer.
Name's Michael Orado, Captain Permit, 245 Route 109, Suite D, West Babylon, New York. It's ARATO. Got it. So I'm here today asking grant relief for having a detached garage that has a 2.5 setback instead of 4 foot setback, and being 15 feet behind the front of the dwelling instead of the required 20. This house was purchased with a garage conversion that was done in 1996. So when the homeowner bought it, she needed a place to store her car and all her tools and whatnot to maintain the property. It's strictly a garage. For a garage, there's no second story to it. It's totally framed. I don't know if you have any pictures of it, but I have pictures if you want to see it. Do you need to see pictures?
Do you have pictures you want to
I
submit?
do. If you don't have one, I'll give it to you.
I think you're going to have to remove some brick from the front yard.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that next.
By getting into it, you mean you're going to tell us how you're going to remove it?
Well, I just kind of tell you what happened, so you understand. No, I know.
But you can tell us how it happened, but why don't you skip to the point where you're going to tell us how you're going to remove it? 'Cause
So
you
pretty
can't
much-
allow 70%.
When she purchased this, the whole driveway was all concrete, that area, so it was all cracked. She had no idea, so she just kind of put all pavers in the front of the house, making it look better. She wasn't aware. She is willing to, whatever we have to do to obviously the left side, not the right side, because the right side is the access to the garage. So if she's unable to keep all the pavers, we'll come up with some sort of solution as to whatever.
My take is the board is going to say that it's got to be brought down to 40%. Where she removes the 30% from, that's her business.
Okay.
Although we did increase it to 42. That's right.
Oh, right.
Right. So
Right.
we,
We can go 42. Our chairman has got that
They-
look
they
of
just-
kindness.
yeah, well, they just changed the rules, the code, so.
I have a question for either Mary or you. How did this get created in this form of it written or the denial of it written? I don't see anything here about driveways. I mean, that looks like one giant driveway. And as I recall, we're fairly strict on this. Or the town is rather.
What do you mean, the front yard occupancy?
No, the width of the driveway, the width of the front side.
That,
How did that not trigger?
I think that's only in the accessory apartment ordinance. Maybe they still have to get their DPW permit. So the apron width will be discussed as part of the DPW permit, but. You said
Captain permit?
Yes, I own it.
and you said you would likely reduce it on the,
If we have to, we do it more on the left side because she still needs to have access to the garage on the right side. So
once there was a garage there, it was converted?
it was converted in 1996 it was permitted with the CO. That was prior to the homeowner owning it. And then she built the detached garage sometime around 2010, 2011.
Right.
And then
42.
That's what happens when you miss a meeting.
They,
They have a waiting.
the bull was 3 hours old.
Right.
They probably hadn't even gotten the Secretary of State.
It's probably not a problem.
Yeah.
So, who's Big Shore? All right.
So, motion to deny that portion of the application regarding front yard occupancy of 70% and instead grant front yard occupancy of 42%.
Yeah.
And grant the balance of the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. The application that modified has been granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application number 225-23, Brian and Debbie Teague. Permission to install in-ground pool leaving second front yard of 14 feet instead of required 20 feet. Pool patio leaving second front yard of 7 feet instead of required 15 feet. Pool equipment leaving second front yard of 2.5 feet instead of required 20 feet. To leave roofed over patio leaving second front yard of 1.8 feet instead of required 20 feet. Patio onside property line not having required setback of 4 feet. 6-foot fence on property line not having required setback of 10 feet. And shed having second front yard of 3.8 feet instead of required 20 feet. Fence and shed previously denied pursuant to ZBA number 169-11. Residence B District, northeast corner of Wilson Boulevard and Islip Boulevard, Islip.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. My name is Corinne Damiano. I'm from Poolfection at 531 Route 111 in Hauppauge, New York, 11788. I represent the Thai family. And yes, Domiano. I represent the Thai family for installing the swimming pool, the pool patio, and the filter equipment, that doesn't meet the required setbacks. And then the Thais will speak regarding the other variances that we're asking for.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Deidre, what have we been doing with pools in the second front yard? If we do grant this, could our very able attorney make sure the opinion reflects the reason that we're granting a pool in the second front yard? Thank you. Also, you may want to tell your clients, don't build a 6-foot fence. It's got to be 4 foot or setback 10 feet.
They were asking for, because there was, when they bought the home, there was a 6-foot fence there.
I didn't even see that.
Right, so we were actually, on the variance, we were actually requesting to keep the 6-foot fence that was there when they bought the home.
Well, you heard the last.
Right. These are denied back in the time,
Hi.
Hi.
Brian Ty, 175 Wilson Boulevard, Islip, New York. Regarding the fence and the shed, we had looked back, we bought the house a year and a half ago. We had looked back at pictures, loved the yard, loved the shed, loved everything about it. And when we asked, when we moved in, we asked about COs, we were told everything was fine, and we had no idea that there was any issues. So obviously we went to get a pool, and then we found out that the shed and the fence had been previously denied.
And they're still up?
We just found out about it.
Well, this isn't addressed to you, but what's the point of us hearing applications, denying them, and it doesn't mean anything?
The applicant didn't pursue the building permit that they were really seeking in 2011 because we denied the height of their proposed detached garage.
So then they just don't have to comply with our decision?
Well, it wasn't a code enforcement matter. They were seeking a building permit for a detached garage. So, I guess we could have referred it to code enforcement and asked them to go out. But they didn't seek, we did grant the building, we granted the the variance for the second front yard setback for a detached garage, but we denied that part of the application seeking height, so they opted not to build it.
Thank you.
We denied the fence and the shed. The fence ordinance has changed somewhat. As you know, in 2019, we began allowing 6-foot fences on second front yards on corner lots for properties that maintain 11,250 square foot or less.
And what is this?
Oh, it's probably close to 17,000. Deirdre, can you pan out just a little bit so we could see across the street? So that's Sunrise Highway. I think Dan wants to see the fence. We have some good photos. We have photos here.
And that's the portion that's been denied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have to be consistent with our prior holding. Nothing's changed factually or at law, so I don't know what basis we have to just abandon the last decision. Apparently, the prior owners abandoned it.
I can't speak to. What I can say.
Would you
is-
please state your name and address for the stenographer?
Sorry, I'm Debbie Ty, and 175 Wilson Boulevard, I slipped 11751. I don't do public speaking, so excuse me. The fence being 6 foot high becomes a safety issue. If we were to lower it to 4 feet, I believe the Islip Boulevard, Islip Boulevard that runs alongside of the house there are people that park and do whatever they're going to do because the other side is the pond and the stream and all. So we get a lot of parkers, a lot of garbage we pick up after they're done, whatever they're doing. But the 6 foot fence, if it were lowered to 4 feet, I really, I do believe that would become more of a safety issue for my family.
All right, is there anybody else that would like to be heard on this application? No? All right. Take a motion. All right.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, decision's been reserved. We'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Application number 144-23, adjourned from February 28, 2023, Michael Virgilio. Permission to erect second-story addition, 8 by 44, roofed-over porch, 7.6 by 23, and roofed-over deck, 15.2 by 19.8, leaving side yard of 10 feet instead of required 14 feet, and floor area ratio of 39.76% instead of permitted 25%. To leave pool patio having side yard of 3 feet and rear yard of 4 feet instead of required 6 feet each, and driveway and walkways having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet each. Residence B District, west side of Keith Lane, 300 feet south of Burling Lane, West Islip.
Good evening, members of the board. Gennaro Cozzolino, 2125 Deer Park Avenue, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Michael Virgilio, 608 Keith Lane, West Islip, New York, 11795.
We're back to go over the FAR numbers. We did decide to cut back the front roof over, so it wouldn't go count towards gross floor area. And however, we're still over on the FAR. Without the front roof over, we're at 37.33%.
37?
Still, yes.
Do you have any precedent that's anywhere near that?
I believe the closest is 34, 34.1. I believe I went over that with Deirdre yesterday.
I mean, we have to look at the nature and character of the neighborhood. And you do have 134, but it looks like the nature and character of at least the grants are all 31 plus. It looks like 132. So 32 seems to be what the nature and character, at least of our variances are. It's not 37.
Mr. Cavalino, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Where did you take the square footage from that you got down?
Well, we brought the front roof, front roof would be at 6 feet, which then would not count towards the gross floor area.
All right, and then that would take out the whole.
That would take out the whole 182 square feet,
Let's hope we know what do more.
182 square feet.
I'm thinking 32 is the number you're going to have to get to. That seems, just my view. There's no precedent. We have to look at the nature and character of the neighborhood. And it looks like the nature and character of the neighborhood is complying with a few variances that we've granted at 31 and change and 132, and now we're at 34. So rounding the 31 pluses up to 32, that seems to be what we have granted in the past, and that would be certainly fair. It wouldn't be arbitrary and capricious.
Well, without the rear roof over, we would be at 33.3.
Okay, so you get
So you're getting closer.
So
within striking range.
33.3, that would be just the second floor addition.
So if we grant the application for 32, you can make it comply?
No, then the only thing would be the second floor addition, so it's counting towards the gross floor area.
The 132, what was that?
Maybe.
Can you pull this up again? What was it?
Again, we would condition not to enclose the roof over. We also have,
The problem is the portion of the structure that will be habitable space puts you over the number. So you could make all the confidence in the world not to enclose your rear roof over, that's not getting there.
I think 32 is the number in my mind.
32. I know this is without the application, what we said we were looking for that. Mr. Castellino, just so you know for next time, this is your job right now.
what was the question?
My thought process is we adjourned this from over a month ago to work this out. And we're kind of back where we started. And it's not the time now to negotiate.
We were at 34%. We thought that we were okay.
Okay, but we're telling you it's 32.
And the one that was approved at 34% started at 31% change, and the increase of 34% was not habitable space. It was roof over deck, which is a little bit different than what we have here. I'm trying.
I understand. I appreciate it. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? No. Okay. So make a motion for
Yes.
32.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we deny so much the application seeking 39.76% of FAR and grant 32%.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the modified application's been granted. Thank
And
you.
everything else, Jim?
Everything else?
Everything else is granted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Application number 226-23, Ellen Mann and Jody Mann. Permission to leave entrance walk and patio on front property line, not having required setback of 15 feet, to leave deck having front yard of 11.1 feet instead of required 25 feet, and side yard of 9.8 feet instead of required 15 feet, and to leave second story deck, all having floor area ratio of 45.1% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, west side of Pine Walk, 240 feet north of Maple Court, Kismet.
Christopher Ang, 93 Main Street, West Sayville, New York, 11796. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. We are presenting a house that we're going to maintain decks and walks and also a shower on an existing property that will bring down the front yard setback to 11.1 and the side yard setback to 9.8 and an overall FAR of 45.1 for the entire property. I reviewed this case with Deidre, and there is precedence in the area for the FAR. I feel like that's the most extreme thing that we're asking for. The other setbacks I feel are in nature and character of the existing neighborhood.
Theodore? Have any questions from the board?
Yeah. Let me just.
Theodore says she's got precedent for 60, 50 something. Well, the other part of it's Kismet.
Yep.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the application's been granted.
Thank you.
Application number 227-23, Robert and Rita Wilson. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-602, not having required off-street parking pursuant to Section 68-6112. Residence A District, west side of Richland Boulevard, 100 feet north of Montauk Drive, Bay Shore.
Okay, Robert Wilson, 1324 Richland Boulevard, Bay Shore, 11706. We applied to have a accessory apartment permit, and it was denied because of the driveway. Now, we were told that it was because we didn't have a double wide driveway, not because of parking. We have a picture of the available parking.
Here he comes.
No. No. Doesn't look like that. No, no, I don't think so. That's a photo of the available parking. The double wide driveway is just not possible because my single wide driveway now is between the house and the adjacent property line. There's just no way that can be altered. Yeah.
Is the apartment existing?
Yes.
So in the past, when applicants have asked the board to accept a rear yard parking area, depending on the size of it, the board has not been very accepting of a rear parking area because we've had ones that are larger than this, essentially parking lots in the backyard. I think it's just up to the board to determine whether you think that this driveway, as you see it, fits 4 cars and 4 cars can move about. I mean, obviously the aerial shows 3 cars parked right in front of the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the problem, is that your car only has passage for, your driveway only has passage for 1 car at a time.
Right.
So if you have 3 cars lined up or 4 cars, the car that is the most inward, nobody's going to run out and move 3 cars and then move in. It's not going to happen. That's why they park in the road. That's what we're trying to prevent.
Well, the cars aren't like 3 in a line in the driveway. Once they get past the house, they can splay out, and so they're just only 1 deep. So anybody can get out at any given time. It's just a single wide driveway.
It's just that we try, we understand, we can see it, but the town tries so hard to prevent off-street parking or on-street parking. And we hate to do anything that may encourage it. And I think this is a particular application, Mr. Chairman, that we need to really consider.
Yeah, is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No? Just be sure.
Chris?
Is there a second for that motion to reserve?
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we're going to reserve decision, sir, and we'll get back to you with our decision.
Okay.
Application number 228-23, Evan Russell and Brittany DeGennaro. Permission to erect 1-story and 2nd-story additions with roofed-over porch, leaving side yards of 17.4 feet and 24.5 feet, roofed-over entrance platform, leaving side yard of 12.4 feet, and 2nd-story balcony, leaving side yard of 23.4 feet, instead of minimum required side yards of 25 feet each, all having total side yards of 36.9 feet instead of required 60 feet. Residence AAA District, east side of South Gillette Avenue, 249.16 feet south of Cedar Bay Court, Bayport.
Good evening, Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, 2938 Hempstead Turnpike, Levittown, agent for the applicant. We're requesting permission this evening to construct 1st and 2nd floor additions. The setbacks that we are requesting have already been established by the home. The 17.4 feet on the one side and 24.58 is not going to change. The addition on the 2nd story will go straight up, and it'll remain a 4-bedroom home, 1 bedroom down, 3 bedrooms up.
Okay. Any questions from the board? No? Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? Take a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, our application is granted.
Thank you.
Application number 229-23, Michael and Lisa Murtha. Permission to erect deck, leaving front yard of 12.08 feet instead of required 25 feet, and decking with outdoor shower, leaving side yard of 6.6 feet and 5.5 feet, and rear yard of 13.08 feet instead of required 15 feet each. To erect shed, leaving front yard of 52.09 feet instead of required 60 feet, and side yard of 9 feet instead of required 10 feet. And to erect roof deck on shed, leaving side yard of 9 feet instead of required 15 feet, all having floor area ratio of 40.69% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, west side of Schooner Walk, 420 feet south of Central Roadway, Summer Club.
Good evening. My name is Michael Dunn. I'm the architect for Mike Murtha at 256 Orinoco Drive in Brightwaters, New York, 11718. So Mr. Murtha would like to raise his beach house in Summer Club and expand the decks. So we're here asking for variances for the front yard deck is more of a landing. We're doing a ramp up because of the lift and the way the ramp works. We needed a little bit more rise, so we did that L-shaped ramp. So we're asking for that 12 foot instead of 25 in the front. And in the rear, we just squared off those decks, and we're asking for 13 instead of 15 in the rear. And on the sides, you can see the shower on the left side, the south side, only cuts in for a little bit. It gives us that 6.6, but it's only in a small area. And same with the north side. It's really just a landing for the staircase down. So it's kind of egress issues and only a small area that we're asking for that. It looks like a small number, but it's only in a little bit of an area. And the FAR we're asking for is 40.69, which has been approved in that area quite a bit. I did speak with Deirdre. I think everything was good. We were talking about the roof deck over the shed at 9 instead of 10. We did get an okay from the neighbors on both sides. Are both okay with the application. And there is a roof deck similar to that, 2 doors down.
Does your client own a construction firm?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen the signs all over Merthyr Construction, or Merthyr Builders.
Deirdre, you have any?
Could you zoom out just a little? I just trying to. Oh, okay. Now we're. Thank you.
You've been there.
Yeah, that's right.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to the application.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Application number 230-23, Target Corporation, AV LLC. Permission to install secondary facial sign where only one is permitted, leaving height of 20.5 feet instead of permitted 18 feet. Business 3 District, southwest corner of Sunrise Highway and Broadway Avenue, Sayville.
Good evening. My name's Case Lieberman, and I am here with Kimley Horan on behalf of Target Corporation as their civil engineering consultant. Lieberman, Lieberman. So Target is requesting a sign variance for a drive-up wall sign. It is 77 square feet, and it looks like it's for its height being 20.5 feet instead of 18 feet from the finished floor. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the drive-up program at this Target, but essentially just an order pickup where the employee brings your order out to your car, and it's 2-minute turnover rate, simple as that. And so the purpose of having this drive-up wall sign is so that when customers pull into the parking lot from the main road, it's easy to identify where those drive-up parking spaces are. So you're not, it doesn't clog up any of the traffic flow in the parking lot. They know exactly which part to drive to, so they can pull into those designated drive-up spaces.
I'm sorry, why do they need a second facial sign? I mean, everybody knows it's Target.
For the drive-up program.
Oh, for the driver. I thought he was angry.
It could have been
He is
11 by
angry.
17.
Any other questions from the board? No, is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, application's granted. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Application number 231-23, Brothers Duo 3 LLC. Permission to erect air-supported structure having front yard of 67 feet instead of required 98 feet, and second front yard of 16.8 feet instead of required 25 feet. To install 4 pole-mounted lighting structures having height of 100 feet instead of permitted 20 feet, netting having height of 20 feet instead of permitted 8 feet. Plan Development District, southwest corner of Carlton Avenue and DPW Drive, Central Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Guy W. Germano, 4250 Veterans Memorial Highway, Holbrook, New York, for the applicant. We're here today I'm here today representing Sousa Soccer Academy. And this is the last phase of.
One second, Mr. Germano. Can you just please make sure not to block the camera that you're right in front of?
That you're blocking right now.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Germano.
We'll just let him get set up here. This is the last phase of the. I'm just.
Thank you.
So this is the Sousa Soccer Academy on Carlton Avenue and DPW Drive. We're here for the final phase of the academy for the last field. I assume maybe you're familiar with the academy, the fields. Has anyone? No one? Okay, so no. Okay. Purpose. The plans are to build a turf field, regulation-sized turf field on that site, just like the other fields, and to erect a temporary air support structure having a front yard of 67 feet instead of the required 98 feet.
Can you explain to me, like I'm 5 years old, what an air support structure is?
Maybe 3 years old.
I'm summing up for the rest of us.
Way too much credit. Why is it temporary? I mean, isn't it a huge expense?
It's going to be up from, it's a room from November 15th to March 6th.
On a yearly basis or just, so it'll go up and come down?
Up and down is only meant to provide
And I'm sure it's much more complicated than how I'm about to say it, but basically, when it's time to come down, they unplug it, comes down. I'm sure it's more, but is that the general concept? Yes.
And then where do they store that?
the, in addition, so we require that a 67-foot setback to get the field in. If we didn't have the structure up, we wouldn't be here because the fields are not a structure. So it's just that this is considered a structure because of the air support system as opposed to a tent under the state building code.
Now, when you say it's temporary, Mr. Germano, when you say it's temporary, what happens if they decide to leave it up? So that will be in planning board's findings that it's got to come down and, okay. Why do you have to come here first? Okay. No, I understood.
No, that's what he's going to planning board for.
So, other than the parking variance they need from the planning board, what else are they going to be considering?
You say it's only up for 4 months? Okay. I asked if it was only up for 4 months a year.
Let me just ask a question hypothetically, and I take you at your word. But let's say we grant it and the applicant says in the next month or two, you know what, maybe we will leave it up all year round. Let's just say people change their mind, nothing that you're controlling. And so that does not get put before the planning board. Now, we've granted it and it's up all year round. And we have no recourse. Clients change their minds. Mine do quite often, unfortunately. By whom?
I think that we could put something, if we were to decide to approve it, I think we could put something in the decision saying that, conditioning it on it only being up for the form from November 15th to March 15th.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Where are the
Not yet.
100-foot lighting structures going to be? They're not inside the bubble.
No, they have to. And they're on.
Mr. Germano, I'm not a lighting specialist, and I don't know, maybe our chairman is, but is planning board, and I understand there's not many residential communities around there. I just want to make sure that there's no light spillover. Who will oversee and set the parameters on that? The planning board?
I'm not sure that's the one you want to compare your application to, given the amount of neighbor complaints about that one. Why don't we ignore that one?
How long have they had the 70-foot poles up and operating? No, since you said that, I have to say that I go to the federal courthouse all the time, and I've never noticed the lights, so I guess that's a good sign.
It's daytime.
Yeah, well, when you leave sometimes 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's dark in the winter, and I just never noticed it. Wait, I'm sorry, these are the old folks. So this is the building that wasn't built. The significance is what? The town board granting something much larger than what you're doing, and therefore this is so reasonable, we should grant it immediately. Okay.
And
Yeah, I think that would be sufficient, submitting a copy.
You don't need to read it.
Is it less than 300 pages, and you can read it?
No, it happens to be less than 300 pages, but I don't need to read it. The point is, the town board made in this, after doing the supplemental DEIS, on its own notice.
But it's the setbacks, right, that the board's considering, not the size?
Right.
The town board did.
I think it will.
It's not there. And the structure is half the size of
People
that.
that want to be heard. Somebody wants to be
This structure is half that size.
Okay, is there anyone else here that would like to be heard on this application?
Good evening. My name is Nancy Vargas Johnson. I'm the board president of the Central Islip Civic Council.
Can you please give us your address?
Nancy, Nancy, V as in Victor, ARGAS hyphen Johnson, JOHNSON. And it's 22 Elm Street, Central Islip, New York. That's my residence. And the Civic Council is 68 Wheeler Road in Central Islip.
So does the civic council think this is a great idea or a horrible idea?
Well, Sousa Academy has been a very good neighbor to us, and as we understand the plan of this temporary structure for the winter months, we see that this structure has no negative impact to the quality of life of our residents.
So it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's
thank you.
something that could serve year round.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? No, any other questions from the board? I'm sorry.
Just so the board, the Sousa Academy currently, there are 2,500 kids who use it on a regular basis once it's open. It's become a tremendous community support sports program for the kids.
Mr. Germano, what were the dates of operation that the air supported?
From November 15 to March 15 of each year.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the application with the condition that the air-supported structure having a front yard of 67 feet instead of required 98 feet, the second front yard 16.8 instead of required 25, will only be permitted between November 15th and March 15th.
A second on that?
Second. Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, so the motion's been granted, application's been granted.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Mayor.
much.
Good luck.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, sir. Edward, you're.
Application number 232-23, Exchange Ambulance of the Islips, Town of Islip. Permission to install ground sign having sign area of 22.5 square feet exceeding maximum depth of 12 inches, having electronic LED message center where flashing, revolving, moving, sound producing, or animated signs are prohibited. Business 3 District, northeast corner of Carlton Avenue and Union Boulevard, and I'm just realizing I think that's the northwest corner of Carlton Avenue and Union Boulevard, East Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Excuse me. My name is Joe Mottola, Mottola. I'm an architect and a partner with H2M Architects and Engineers. We're located at 538 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York. So I'm here this evening representing the Exchange Ambulance of the Islips, and the ambulance company is currently having a new facility constructed on the corner of Union and Carlton Avenue. Project is currently scheduled to be completed in September. As part of the project, we are seeking a variance to install a ground sign. The ground sign will be proposed for the corner of Union and Carlton. The ground sign they currently have one at their existing facility. The sign being proposed is the same size as the one that is currently there. The electronic LED sign will sit on a masonry base, and it will be pretty much catty corner, double-sided at the corner of Union and Carlton. The sign is used for community messaging. It has it has time and weather. It notifies the public during certain community things that the company does, whether it be a blood drive or blood pressure screening. It also, during the holidays, reminds people not to drink and drive. So it's a community message board. And it is consistent with many of the emergency response facilities, fire departments within the town as well.
What is the sound producing component?
No sound.
I thought it says sound.
So it's a provision of the statute that prohibits various things in a long run-on sentence. So whenever anybody violates one of them or seeks to modify one of them, the way the sign denial is written is the entire part of the statute, which has the long run-on sentence.
Okay, so it's going to be a silent sign.
Silent, correct. Mhm. Yes.
So the part with an LED, which part would you say that it doesn't comply with of those items that are listed? I guess we would call it moving. It's not animated.
It's not animated.
It's not sound producing.
No.
It's not really flashing.
It's strictly a message board. It's basically the same as they have now. The one now is just not double-sided, it's single-sided.
It doesn't revolve, right?
No.
So the
It's just a moving.
message,
It's not moving.
It's just a moving.
The message changes.
so the message will cycle maybe every 10 seconds or 12 seconds.
Yeah, if
It's not a continuous loop
that,
of.
no.
I mean, I guess it'd be great for business, preventing car accidents and pedestrian accidents. People looking at the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the current facility, yes. At the new facility, no. There may be a sign. Yeah, there's an old sign base from the old facility that was there. I think it was was it a car service? Right? Chevy dealership? Yeah, years ago.
It was Town of Islip,
DPW.
DPW yard.
It didn't have an LED sign.
Before that, it was a.
There was an LED. I think there was an LED sign there now.
DPW?
No, at the Exchange Ambulance on.
Yeah, but that's all in a
At the current
commercial area.
location.
Right,
This
right.
says residential
Oh,
across the
this,
street.
oh,
That's the
okay.
difference.
Theodore, do you have any comments?
Why is that? What is it?
Can you comply with that?
So, just so I understand, so the bottom, the bottom of it is about 20 square feet of masonry to match the masonry?
No, just the sign.
You're talking about the sign itself.
The part that has content.
Yeah, so if we put like a band on top of it that said exchange ambulance of the iSlip and below it was the LED signboard portion of it, something like that would be desirable.
As long as it's half and half,
Yeah, 50%, right.
50%.
So that's
So
about,
11 and 3/4 square feet?
it's about an 18-inch display area. Does that work?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. I think we
Yeah,
would
that's
need,
the-
probably need
That's a-
30
They're looking
inches.
for 22 and a half.
Um,
So what'd you say,
11,
3/4?
yeah, 11 3/4. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not right.
I don't know.
11 and a quarter, 11 and a quarter. Thanks for taking my math. That's good.
That's why you're a lawyer.
Separate, it's separate.
If it helps, I did bring photos of some other fire departments in the town. Now, I don't know whether they went through the necessary process, but what we're doing is very much consistent with that. I'd be happy to.
As is, right, this is consistent with what we apply to all the other fire departments? Yeah.
I believe so. You're looking for 50% of the sign exclusive of the base, not to be LED. Yeah, I think we can comply with them. The only question I would have with the concern is it's going to get bigger.
He's going to make
So
the sign
right now,
bigger.
it sits about, with the base, about 5.5 feet off the ground. We may be able to squeeze the LED portion a bit to get it down, but by adding on to it, we could be, 6.5 to 7
Why
feet
would it
high.
get bigger?
I don't think that the point of the planning department was saying, okay, we're limiting you to X amount of square feet, just make it bigger.
Mhm.
So,
I think the point is what you're proposing, they want half of that to be not eliminated. I
so,
could be wrong.
yeah, but the question needs to become to the applicant, does 18 inches work for you for an LED display? He said, no, he needs about 30 inches.
Yeah, I'm thinking about probably about 30 inches. We may be able to squeeze it down to 24, but definitely not less than
Well,
24.
we want to be reasonable.
24 by what?
I think, is it consistent with other fire departments? Those things, if you have examples of those, certainly.
So Deirdre, I hate to do this to you on the fly, but they're not asking for a sign area variance. 22.5 square feet is what they're asking for their display area. So I think what the applicant is saying is they'd like to increase that in order to hold the 24-inch display area. So,
It's 24 by what?
7?
Oh, I see. So if you
It's
need
2 by 7.
24 inches of LED, then how much more sign square footage do you need to accommodate that?
So the 24 is really tight, and I would respectfully ask for a minimum of 30. But question, so if we were to put, aside from the base, if we, like many of the ones in the town ISIP for the fire departments, they have masonry that goes kind of up the sides. So like ours sits on a base, the masonry goes up the sides, and then they have like so-and-so
Can I
fire
make a
department.
suggestion to you? Why don't you take an adjournment and come back with your plan, so we don't sell you short and we don't sell the town short, and speak to
Work with
Deidre.
Deirdre.
Yeah, and then come back and we'll have it in front of us and we won't be guessing. Because I don't want to misinterpret what you need and give you something that you can't work with.
so 30 inches on the bottom and 30 inches on the top is 5 feet, right? 60 inches times 7 is 35 square feet. So it sounds to me like you're looking for a sign area of about 35 square feet. You're currently asking for 22.5. I think we just need to figure out if the 35 square feet is an area variance for sign face. Right, that's why we couldn't ask for on the fly.
That's why I suggest take a short adjournment and we can figure all this out. We have a lot of talented people here, not about, not the board members, staff.
It's easier for us to make a decision when we have.
But the problem is we can't do
If we
that.
make a decision before that, who knows? It may not be good for you, it may not be good for us, then you gotta come back and it's just a whole nightmare.
Okay.
And I think Mary can, just given the nature of your operation, can squeeze it.
Yeah, which is when we come back, we can amend away from conformity.
So you're looking at probably a variance of 35 potentially square feet. That will give you 30 inches of LED.
It may not be a variance at all, the 35 square feet. We're trying to figure that out right now. So is it possible, are you comfortable with granting the application subject to the review and approval of the planning department? Are you
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
If you're comfortable, I'm
It's just that if we try to bring it back in 2 weeks, and if we have to amend the 22 up to 35, either that or we have to bring it back in a whole month.
So
whatever
we'll-
you folks think works.
We'll make it subject to the planning. You okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. So we can,
So we'll
we can,
change the
we can
call.
contact you and reach out, right?
So what's the application? What's the,
Well, it's
Do we need to
generic. It's
amend it?
just, you were just being asked to grant a digital sign where they're not permitted.
It's a use variance.
Well, that's what the former chairman would have said, yes.
Right, but it
Whenever it
is.
says prohibited, he would have said it would have been a use variance, yeah.
Which it is.
Well, because the sign ordinance is from 1979. Were you born?
No.
No. Right, so the sign ordinance is antiquated.
My
That's-
father was, I think, a freshman in college. in 79.
so basically, we'll grant the application and let planning deal with it.
I think that you can.
Usually they kick it down the road to
it's-
us. We kick it
This-
I'm kicking it
the-
right back to them.
The information about the 22.5 square feet is like extra information. Do you know what I mean? The math problems that had the
Right.
number that you really didn't need. That's what the 22.5 square feet is there.
Okay. I'm
So if you want to strike the 22.5, so there's no confusion, but you're seeking to go bigger than 22.5 so as to limit the LED display area to 50% of it.
We were seeking 22.5 LED signboard display area.
Oh, okay. Well, the board's not giving you that because they're not going to allow you to double the size of, it's not going to be a 48, 49 square, 45 square foot sign. They're asking you to make it smaller, somewhere
Right.
in the range of
I understand. It would be,
Okay.
right, it would have to be over
35
almost
square
40,
feet.
almost 50 square feet.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
It's too bad you guys didn't talk more before this application.
I thought we did.
You talked to
I
me.
wasn't, no, it wasn't me, so it's fine.
Ugh.
Okay.
Go, gentlemen. What are we doing?
So East Islip?
Bill.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, then I will make an application that we grant the application, provided that it
Subject
goes
to.
subject to the approval of the planning board.
Okay.
Second. All in favor? All right, so the modified application has been granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Right?
But I don't think it's not a municipal
You know, it's
corporation.
quasi-municipal.
Well,
I don't know if that.
It's a tougher climate than this.
Right.
So it's a good-
Application number 233-23, AJ Shah and Rekha Shah. An interpretation is requested as to whether floral design as a home occupation is consistent with Islip Town Code Section 68-3 definitions. Residence AA District, west side of Lincoln Avenue, 700 feet north of 7th Street, Bohemia.
One
Good
second.
evening.
I'm going to recuse myself on this application.
Okay.
Sir, can I have your name and address?
Members of the board. Richard Tripakowski, agent for the applicant, 173 North Main Street, Salem, New York. Mr. and Mrs. Shah at one time had a floral shop next to Parkville Deli in Salem. The deli had a fire and forced it to close. They are longtime members of the community, well-known and respected. What they currently have is a utilization of a single-car garage, which is approximately 10 by 20, half of which is used to
create floral designs, and the other half is for storage of flowers. Anyone looking at the property would see it well-kept, and I would liken this use to someone who builds birdhouses, for example, and then sells them at a flea market. They do have a web page, and the web page distinctly says that there's no drive up, you can't go there, you can't purchase. They just design in what was the garage space. And I do have letters from the neighbors that there seems to be no objection from any of the neighbors to it. I'd like to hand that in, as well as showing other home businesses. Now, a lot of times you have home businesses, for example, like an architect, a surveyor, where they do have customers that come to the house. They don't have any customers that come to the house at all. He simply designs there, delivers. They don't have any commercial vehicles. They don't have any commercial vehicles with signage on them. He simply designs there, and they will deliver them to somebody's home or something for a funeral or whatever it may be.
Mr. Chipakowski, I'm looking at the section of the Islip zoning code, 68-3.
Mm-hmm.
And it states what home occupations can do. And it says single physician, dentist, chiropractor, lawyer, architect, engineer, surveyor, accountant, financial planner, insurance agent, or tutor. And I'm looking at those, and it's different than what we have to make an interpretation. I don't know if we should make it tonight, but that's up to the board. It looks like those professions all require a license, a degree, as opposed to what further in the code says shall not be permitted. Bars, taverns, restaurants, fast food, markets. Well, there's a veterinarian that requires a license. Dance studios, real estate broker, that. How does floral arranging fit in with the enumerated permissive?
Okay. And I
Well,
totally.
not to cut you off, not to contradict you, but I can see the analogy, given that a floral design or a floral arrangements is not going to be something that people are coming in and out all day, random walking customers. It's likely going to be appointment only. People coming in, going into a small office, looking at stuff and leaving, as opposed to a bar or a tavern or a restaurant, wherever Tom, Dick, and Harry is walking on the street around here in Berkeley.
And I understand what you're saying, Mr. Wexler.
And let me just interrupt.
But what I'm
hang on one second. I understand, and I don't have a formulated opinion. I don't know if any of the board has, but that's why I'm asking these questions.
Right.
If the sole reason was walk-in traffic, then the town board could have written the statute such as that.
True.
There shall be no, then you wouldn't have to worry about what they did.
However, if they were looking to seek a license as a requirement, they would have included a veterinarian, the other one, a real estate broker.
Right, which it is a mixed bag. I caught that myself, so it's interesting. What do you think the board was trying to do when they enacted this and put those enumerated permissive and impermissive?
Without having knowledge at the time that it was enacted, I would suspect that it probably has to do with appointment only versus random walking traffic. But
I know, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Evidently, there was someone who made an objection. I don't know what was it, that a violation officer came by to look at it. I have photo of the house. Honestly, I've been to the home. The respective people, you would never know that even there's anything there. They really
somebody did.
Yeah, somebody did, and for whatever the reason, we don't know. But I do have letters from all the surrounding neighbors that said they have
Mr.
no objection.
McCabe is an expert in statutory interpretation. What would you think?
But if I may,
Hang on, I just want to hear from Mr.
No,
McCabe.
I think that the reason for the statute is, as you said, they don't want commercial business in a residential area. Obviously, things have changed a little bit in the last few years, but that's the danger. I mean, how much traffic is there? We grant this one? Do other people come before us that have a constant strain of traffic to and from? I mean, the precedent again is is the issue, as I see it. I don't know if there are other businesses in the area that are operating commercially outside in a non-conforming use, so to speak, or that's what I would look.
And what happens? This slowly becomes a flower shop, a florist. Then it's people. You don't. When I buy, the rare times that I do, I buy flowers for my wife. I don't make an
I think
appointment.
it might be a lot though. Maybe
Yeah,
a lot
right,
more.
right. Yeah.
If I
A lot
may
more
just,
after tonight, but I don't make an appointment.
if I may just add a couple of things, please.
Yeah.
A, I have their Google page that distinctly says, previous, offers same-day delivery, no in-store pickup, no curbside pickup, offers delivery, no in-store shopping. Nobody goes there. They don't have any commercial vehicles. I have
But
a
what
pic-
happens if that changes?
I have
Let's
a-
say next week.
well,
wait,
that
wait,
could
wait,
be-
Hang on, let me finish. Let's say they next week they say, yeah, and we change our mind. I don't care what they put in their Google page. They can change it. They're not bound by that. We just don't want to set up
No,
a
and
bad situation.
I totally understand that. But also, it could be contingent upon, like you've done on other decisions, that there can't be any in-store pickup or anything there. I have the letters, I have the Google page. It's just like, what if somebody, like I said, I liken to the birdhouses, but somebody who makes things in their garage, he designs things there. He does not allow people to come there. They don't have any trucks that bring things there.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any commercial vehicles. All they do is he designs in his garage, like people may knit in their garage, and then he does sell it online and he delivers it them in a car. That's, I can ask Mr. Shaw that. He is here.
And there's a gentleman in the back of the room who seems to be anxious to inform us. Let's hear from your client and then the gentleman in the back.
This is Mr. AJ Shaw.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. My name is AJ Shah, SHAH, and my address is 1658 Lincoln Avenue, Bohemia.
You want to know what precipitated whoever made it?
I don't know. In October 2019, Parkville Deli is a very famous deli in Sayville, and there was a fire in the deli. My shop was right next to it, totally destroyed. And then February 2020 or March 2020, COVID hit us. So, everybody were working out of the house, and I have no clue.
What, if I may just ask you, and again, I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Something must have precipitated somebody who saw something. And it wasn't as though you had one person sitting in a cloistered little room doing floral design.
All right,
They must, hang on. They must, and I don't know, that's why we're asking you, they must have seen maybe people coming and going, picking up flower arrangements, something, and maybe they're wrong, but something drew their attention to this.
I have a feeling that what happened was that immediately after the fire, when I moved my floral design business in the house, Google listed somebody else's address as the flower shop. So people were going to that house and knocking on the door, asking that, is this the flower shop? Is this the flower shop? And I have a feeling that that's what prompted to whoever it was to go and make a complaint to the town that this guy is running a flower shop out of business, and there are people coming in and out of the to buy flowers.
But how do we assure ourselves that you don't start to become very successful? Maybe your floral arrangements are lovely, and now, oh yeah, nobody turns away business. Oh sure, yeah, you can pick it up. You can pick it up. You can pick it up. How do we assure ourselves that that's not going to happen? And I don't know how we put some sort of regulations.
So prior to the complaint, I was servicing my regular customers from Sayville. I have been in Sayville for 30 years, and I have a loyal following in Sayville. People do come to my house to pick up the flowers, but these are my regular customers. Anybody else, I would just tell them that I would either meet you at the airport diner or at the Stop and Shop shopping center in Sayville. I'll bring the flowers
Yeah,
to you.
but that's hard to. People want to come. It's highly unlikely. Okay, let me drop what I'm doing. Run out to the Sable, to the the Hot Dog Diner. No, yeah, come pick it up. That's what we're concerned about. It
Yeah,
doesn't become.
for that, I have an answer also, in the sense now people do call me up, they ask me whether they can come to the house and pick up the flowers, and I flat out refuse and tell them no. That's my word, that's all I can give you, but my wife also is of the same, this thing that she flat out refuses and tell them that, no, we are not an in-store pickup, we are just a delivery service. And if you want, we can bring it to you, or you can meet us at the airport diner or at the old location or whatever it is, but we are not entertaining anybody at the house.
Why do you have your house address on your website?
Well, I do have a PO box on Sayville, because originally I was in Sayville, and now I don't have a location in Sayville, so I have a PO box in Sayville. And Bohemia as such has no flower shop, so to have an internet presence, to have business in Bohemia is what prompted me to give the house and house address.
If I may add a couple of things to that, I really would like you to see his website that distinctly says no in-store pickup, you can't come to the house, no curbside delivery, as well as those. And what I will say this, in looking at, honestly, looking at the zoning, I get where you're coming from, but on the other hand, if you're a surveyor or something, people could come to your house all day long. You could have 100 people coming in, picking up and things. He's simply designing.
I think I've ordered probably 1,000 surveys over the past 10 years. I've never gotten a survey.
Yeah, I do all the time.
you don't
And
have
I use
inventory coming in
surveys,
and
I
out.
constantly go to them. So. And I only picked up a survey, but there are other types of businesses, what I'm getting at. A lot of the in-house businesses will have people constantly coming in. I had one that we did recently with a Board of Appeals, I think. She did psychology services, and it wasn't necessarily allowable services, but she does have people come to the house. I
But that's
think-
in compliance with the code.
It's similar to a permitted
Yeah.
use. So the way it's
Yeah,
supposed to
it
work.
was similar to a permitted use. This is not considered a permitted use. All I'm trying to say is he probably would have less people, if anybody comes to his house, than what some of the permitted uses are.
We don't know that.
But I did hand those other things in, and honestly, I understand your perspective and precedent setting and all that stuff. Yeah, he runs a beautiful home, there's a picture of it there. I've driven up to it, there's no sign, nobody would even think that there's flower designing going on inside.
But when you say flower design, they make floral arrangements.
Correct.
So they have to have flowers delivered, and they're probably delivered rather frequently because
Uh,
flowers don't have a long shelf life.
I'm gonna yeah.
And then they have to have whatever associated vases and whatever else. So it's not just not the surveyor sitting on his laptop. It's now you're having deliveries of goods coming in.
I
and
understand what you're
goods-
saying.
Hang on. Goods coming in, goods coming out. And as Mr. Nicolia said, I ordered many title reports. I've never gone to or surveys. I've never gone to the surveyor's office. I've never been to the title.
I go there all the time. That's besides the point.
Your client can spare himself a lot of time, energy, and headache if he just gets a PO box in Bohemia.
Mr. Shah?
And then there's no prohibition against working from home or having deliveries at home.
But that's what that's the code says. Unless he's working in his. But
Would
no,
you
the code
mind
says you can't.
explaining to them
The zoning
how
code
you
hasn't
get
caught
your
up with.
deliveries with flowers and you pick them up? Or, because that's one of the concerns is how many people may come delivering stuff to you.
So as far as the question that you had, Mr. Wexler, about the flowers being delivered to my house, I am lucky that my wholesaler's in Bayport at the old bread factory building. So it's like literally 5 minutes from my house, and I go just about every day, maybe 2-3 times a day to pick up stuff as I need it. And as far as storage is concerned, I have dedicated some portion of my garage for storage, and it's air conditioned. But my wholesaler is good enough to me that he holds my flowers for me. So whenever I need it, I go and pick it up.
Does anybody else want to be heard? Can you approach?
Give me a second, I'll get out of the way.
Can I have your name and address, sir?
Sure, it's Tim Johnson. I reside at 34 Cherry Avenue, West Sable, New York.
Speak up, please, slowly.
A little better? Tim Johnson, 34 Cherry Avenue, West Sable, New York. I'm here on behalf of my wife, Donna Johnson, same address. We have a legitimate florist at 221 Main Street in West Sable. We've been operating there for 28 years. We had a same flower shop just up the road by the funeral home. I can't recall the actual address. I think it was 207 Main Street in West Sable. I want to say if somebody's been in business for 35 years, you mentioned that people don't come in and out the door. They come in and out that door all day long. They do not go in his door. You get flower deliveries. Not only that, we feel it's unfair that if I can have a business like that, that is a floral business that is not listed on the list that you mentioned, he doesn't have to pay commercial gas. He doesn't have to pay for his building for heat. Doesn't have to pay commercial electric. He doesn't have to pay commercial phone. He doesn't have to pay commercial internet, even if he's claiming he's an internet business. He competes with us locally. He comes to our local. It is a competition, and that's unfair competition. If he can operate a business out of his home that is not listed in those businesses there.
Well, not for nothing, but the code does say other similar uses which do not alter the character of the house's residence may be permitted after the review and approval of the Board of Appeals. I get what you're saying, but zoning was not created to eliminate competition. If that was the case, there would be no Walmarts, there would be no Stop and Shops, everything would be local,
Mm-hmm.
That's not our purpose here. Our purpose here is to protect the houses around it from the impact of having a business next door.
So that is my point, as you said, with the constant people going in and out. If you believe that people are not going in and out of there, hang out there for a little while. He's been in business for 35 years. He even said right up front here that he has a following. He does not go to people's homes. We know it because my wife's been in business for 35 years in West Sable. So she knows him. My wife is the florist. She regrettably couldn't be here. We tried to get an adjournment for her, but she told she couldn't get it. She also submitted documentation of the different stuff that was brought about, the websites where it shows he has a Sayville address in a P.O. box, where he had a storefront. It's legit. He has a business. He has to pay that. We have to endure all the costs to be in a business. That's why? Well, it's for zoning, so he's not his own, he's running, I'm sorry. But it's trying to be zoned something that wasn't construed as for it to be zoned. So that's why we're here also. Well, I'm also a town resident, and I know that he puts garbage on the side of the street, whether I live there or not. That doesn't play into consideration. He has to.
So does everybody who owns a house.
But not who has a business. If you come by on a daily, we elect you to stop by, which is in the town of Islip, West Sable Florist. We have to have a commercial dumpster for the amount of work he does, the amount of work my wife does. So he's putting his garbage out on the street, and they're flower boxes. Whether he picks them up, or he says he picks them up at Bayport Flower House, Bayport is not the only person that everybody buys from. Again, we know the workings of the floral trade because my wife has been there for 35 years. He knows my wife. And my wife couldn't be here because she had other stuff. And like I said, she tried to have an adjournment to a date and she was told she couldn't. And yeah, is it part of it competitiveness? Yes, it is. But it's also fairness.
What
Fairness to who?
Fairness to who?
Fairness to having to have a commercial spot versus operating out of my garage.
That's not what this is about.
It's for zoning, no.
I know, but you know what? Zoning doesn't eliminate competition, doesn't protect.
I'm not trying to overtalk. I'm bringing that about. So part of it, yeah, because we have to endure those costs of being in business.
All right, let me ask you questions that are a little bit more poignant. Does he have, do you know for a fact that he has people in and out of his front door all day?
I have, yes, I do know, but do I have proof like in front of you right now? No.
What do you base
Do I,
that on?
huh?
What do you base that on?
I have a sister-in-law who lives on Lewis Cassuth, which is right around the block, who they walk past their house almost every day. And they do see the garbage pickup, they do see the boxes out there, and they see other people entering that house.
I think so the record is clear, and you can hear by our questioning, when we've got, this is a case of first impression. We've got to make an interpretation. That's one of the things zoning boards do, is make interpretations. Sometimes you do fact finding when it's a non-conforming use. So we have to make an interpretation. And our consideration is not going to be whether or not we're encouraging or eliminating competition. Our interpretation is going to be, does it comport with the intent of the town code? And what we believe the town code doesn't want is the in and out traffic. And maybe some of the things you said, the garbage that comes with it and deliveries. That's what the board is going to make a decision on. We understand your particular feelings, and I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to have to pay all of the costs of running the floors when somebody runs it out of the house. So we have to make sure what we do is that this does not become basically a mini florist out of somebody's house.
And that's what our
No,
point is.
understood, understood.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we reserve decision.
All, aye,
All in favor?
aye.
I don't want to sound so foolish, but what does that mean?
There's no decision tonight, that's what I'm asking.
We will, if you leave your address.
We have it on the
We
letter.
have, yes, we have to make a decision within 62 days. So you'll be mailed a copy of the decision.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. See you later.
Oh, sure.
We do it right now? Let's do the readings right now. I think we're finished anyway. right?
No.
No, but let's do the read-in so Dan can go.
We just have to go off the public hearing calendar for just a minute. So the first three is what we need you on, Dan. Okay? Yeah.
No, you gotta go, you gotta go.
Okay. We just have some decisions to be read into the record. Application number 675-22, Lance Emlinger and Jessica Sotis, in accordance with a proposed written decision dated March 28, 2023. The application is denied as submitted with regard to the front yard occupancy of 75%. However, granted permission to maintain a front yard occupancy not to exceed 50%, and granted as to the remainder of the application, with the board noting that no structures are permitted to be off the applicant's property. On motion of? All in favor? Application number 807-22, Gertrude Henri. In accordance with a proposed written decision dated March 28, 2023, the application is denied permission to leave the one-story addition and granted as to the remainder. On motion of?
Chris? All in favor?
Application number 848-22, Faithful Farms LLC. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 28, 2023, the application is granted as amended by post-hearing submission and granted as to the corrals for a period of 2 years in accordance with sections 12-27 and 12-28 of the Isaac Town Code. On motion of?
All in favor?
Application number 59-23, Lighthouse Shores LLC. In accordance with the proposed written decision dated March 28, 2023, the application is denied as submitted with regard to a requested front yard setback from West Lighthouse Walk. However, granted permission to maintain a front yard of 25 feet for the second-story addition and granted as to the remainder of the application. On motion of?
Motion.
In favor?
Mr. Italiata abstained.
Yeah.
Okay, we actually have 10 accessory apartments to renew for a period of 3 years and 10 two-family use only to renew for a period of 3 years. We have a motion and a second on those?
Motion.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
So we'll go back to the public hearing portion of the application. Application number 234-23, Sean Rice, permission to leave detached garage having side yard of 8.4 feet instead of required 10 feet, height of 16 feet instead of permitted 14 feet, and driveway having side yard of 1 foot instead of required 4 feet. Residence AA District, northeast corner of Fairview Avenue and Middle Road, Bayport.
Peter, could you zoom out?
Good evening again. Richard Tripakowski, agent for the applicant, 173 North Main Street. The current homeowner purchased the property as it is currently. The garage has existed for many years and appears to be original to the house, which for some reason, there's no record to the town for a CO for the house. So that's what we were applying for, and that's how it came up about the garage. I do have a survey that is dated July 24th of 1999 showing the garage as well as the driveway. That I believe this predates the code change for the height as well as driveway setback. Even under current standards, the side yard setback for the garage is a minimal deviation from code. This clearly has existed for many years. and
Mr.
does-
Tripakowski, what proof do you have for us? Photographs, anything?
I have a survey
as
from
you-
19,
Wait, let me finish.
okay.
You keep saying it's existed for many years. You said it 3 or 4 times, which may be true. What proof do you have to show us that we could say, aha, it has?
The proof I have is a survey that shows the garage and everything that exists and the driveway there from
Does it
1999.
show the height?
Well, in 1999, it wasn't a 14-foot height. I believe it was 18 feet at that
But
time.
that's what I'm saying is, what proof do you have of the height that existed prior to whatever the code was?
The code limiting height was 2003.
Okay. So what proof do you have what height it was? Anything, just so, we don't know if he could have built it last year or 2 years ago. Are there photographs that we can look at and say, aha, this looks original? Or somebody who could testify, is there something other than just you saying, oh yeah, it was there for many years?
We provided photos of the garage that honestly, any inspector that went there and looked at the garage could tell that it wasn't recently built. You know, the type of construction, what it is, be subject to. It clearly is not a garage that, and again, it shows on the garage here. Now, that survey in 1999 doesn't show the height. Let me see if it does, but
Why didn't they give you a CC?
well, that's what we went for. And we went for it, but they came up and made us go to the zoning board saying that, you know, these were the issues. The driveway, which again, the driveway predated, I think, when they made the code change as far as the setback goes, and the height change.
So when, it's 16 feet, when was that legal? Prior to 2003? 3? So we have to determine, looking at pictures of wood, if that's more than 20 years old. How do we do that? I'm not a wood,
I guess the building department wasn't comfortable with it either, which is why they sent it.
I don't know how to age wood. I mean, I think you look at the rings on the tree.
Kowski, I think you're gonna have to go find your proof of that. It's not that I don't believe you, we're just discussing established anything. And height on an accessory structure is something, as I'm sure you're aware, we take very seriously.
No,
You're gonna have to-
I understand
you're
that
gonna have to
entirely.
do Buttons and suspenders a little bit more. Can I ask you a question? What brings you here? Why are they seeking this relief? They get ticketed, they.
No. What happened is they purchased the home, the son's got the home, started living there, and somehow they discovered that the house, which I find hard to believe, didn't have a CO. Could have something happened in the records? And this is in a beautiful area in South Bayport. I can't believe that, quite honestly, that the house was built and never had a permit at all. So we applied for a CSC for the whole house. When we did a CSC, that's when zoning looked it up and they determined, oh, well, you got a problem because the garage is too close to the side, the driveway is too close to the side. But again, I have a survey showing.
How'd they buy the house without a CO?
Cash deal.
Believe me, I question the same thing. And, you know,
I mean, it
but
could be
yes,
cash deal, but-
should somebody have let them do it? No, they thought everything was fine. And anybody, any inspector who went there, I mean, I don't even do as much as inspector does. I can look at the house and kind of.
When did they buy this house?
Look at the garage and determine, what's that?
When did they buy this house?
They bought it within the last year or two.
Was it an arm's length exchange or was it interfamily?
No, it wasn't in the family, no. They purchased it from, I don't know who they purchased it.
And it didn't say in the title report there was no certificate of occupancy?
Honestly, I got hired on afterwards when they discovered that it was an issue.
No, I understand.
So,
Who
yeah, I
was the
don't have the
lawyer?
history
You
of
know who the
that.
lawyer was on it?
What's that?
Who was the lawyer on it?
I don't know.
You know, with the way the real estate market has been lately, they were probably told that they have to just take it or move it.
Yeah, it's very possible, exactly.
Really?
But, you know, it
Very
conforms to the area. I mean, honestly, I don't bring stuff here that just doesn't look legit. And I look at the house, I can tell that this is not something that was built 5, 10 years, 20 years ago. Got a survey that shows it was built. And, you know, I would say any inspector who wants to look at it would determine that the garage was there when the house was built. And
Why don't you do this? Why don't you follow Mr. Nicolia's suggestion? Adjourn it, get some more proof, take more photographs. We have to look at some kind of odd photographs and age wood. I mean, I don't know.
How about, would it work if I had an engineer look at it and determine?
Yeah, that would
the age
help.
of it?
Why would-
We
yeah.
could try to do that.
I seem to recall from my days in the town attorney's office that the town does have, or the building inspector has methods of determining the age of things based on stamps that are on, like, for example, there's little manufactured marks in the bottom corner of windows, similar things in lumber and beams.
Right. Yeah, no, believe me, I get it. So maybe that would be something else, see if we, maybe we get an engineer to make a stipulation what he thought the time period when the garage was built.
Yeah, that certainly would add to it.
Sure. Yes, we could do that if you want to adjourn it and, I'll bring
No,
back
you
that
want the
evidence.
adjournment.
You want the adjournment, you want time to.
Yes.
Either provide something, a letter signed and sealed or come here and
Sure.
not just a quick email.
Oh, no. We,
You know the drill.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you'll take an adjournment?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and I think when you filed the application, the staff asked you to get us a deed when you could, and I think maybe Dana told us it wasn't recorded yet.
The deed, okay.
Yeah, because it seems as if the
So if you could
property,
get us an unrecorded copy of the deed?
Okay,
it may have recorded by now, it filed 2
Okay.
months ago.
so we'll get a deed and a letter from somebody who could determine to say, yes, this garage predated or when it was built. Okay, fair enough.
Do we need it?
So are we gonna get an adjournment date tonight, or?
Did you want to, or do you need to,
You want to put your
I
ducks
could
in a
do
row
it pretty
first?
quickly. It shouldn't take a long time to do this, so yes,
likely April 25?
April 25? Sounds good.
All right, so adjourn to April 25th.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank
Going
you.
on too long.
Okay.
It's 8:45.
Have a great night.
You too.
Application number 235-23. 193 Sunrise Realty LLC. Permission to install ground sign having sign area of 163.46 square feet instead of 45.5 square feet and height of 30 feet instead of permitted 15 feet. 2 facial signs having height of 22.83 feet instead of permitted 18 feet each. 3 public interest facial signs having sign areas exceeding permitted 3 square feet and having height of 13 feet instead of permitted 10 feet each. 2 public interest ground signs having sign area 15.06 feet instead of permitted 3 feet each. Business 3 District, northwest corner of Sunrise Highway and Udall Road, West Islip.
Hello, Michael Colamusi, Colamussi, 295 Skidmore Road, Deer Park, New York. I'm here with John Gentili and Andrew Pace from the Atlantic Group Sunrise. Yeah. I know it sounds like a lot. I just would like to say,
May I ask a question? Is Mr. Pace an interested applicant? Is he interested in the application? Okay.
I know it seems like a lot, but I just want to first explain that this includes all the signage, all the permanent signage at this facility. So the public interest signs, these are directional signs, small signs that obviously need to direct people and whatnot. But the number of signs here on the application includes everything that's permanent on this building. Start with the pylon sign. Obviously, that's probably the biggest issue. The facility that's there now has been a car dealership for the beginning of time. Originally, it was an Isuzu dealership back in the 80s. It was a Cadillac dealership in the 90s. It was an Audi dealership most recently, and now it's Kia. The issue with the pylon sign and the height is obviously the overpass. The site is on the corner of Udall Road and the Sunrise Highway North Service Road. The overpass going over Udall Road is directly in front of the dealership. It's approximately 30 feet it's about 30 feet high. I do have some photos that show driving up to it on Sunrise Highway and driving away. The site literally has about a 2-second visual from Sunrise Highway as you're heading west on Sunrise Highway. And then heading east on Sunrise Highway, the dealership has no visibility whatsoever. I do have some pictures that show that. If you'd like, I can hand them out. Basically, there's 7 copies there. The first page shows as you're driving on Sunrise Highway toward the overpass, and the first picture on the top, you're about 250 feet away from the crest of the overpass. The second picture, you're about 100 feet away, and right then you get a momentary view of the dealership because of the trees and whatnot that are on the Sunrise Highway between that and the service road. So the height of the sign is kind of important because obviously they do need some identification there. As far as the size of the sign and the heights, I mean, the Atlantic Auto Mall does have some large signs that have been approved by this board, and it goes back many years to back when Richard Shire was the chairman of this board, and he always told me that you can't compare anything to Atlantic Auto Mall because they have this overpass, and that's a problem. So I think the board in general over the years has been understanding of that situation here. And this is obviously part of the whole facility in a sense. It's a separate building, a separate lot, but it's in the worst position as far as the overpass is concerned.
I think you're going to have to cut back some of these. These are really out of line. Unless you can get us where we've granted the same, I think, and we've done a lot of these.
No, I understand. Well, over at West Islip Volkswagen, I was here back in November, and you granted a 30-foot high pylon sign for us across the street at the old Dodge facility, which is now a Volkswagen facility. So that was in November. I have historic records that go back to many years where, you know, the Atlantic Auto Mall has always been understood that there's an overpass there and you can't see the facility. There are signs that have been granted at 35 feet over there, as well as other parts. But like I said, most recently, West Islip Volkswagen, I was here before this board, which is across the street and does have much better visibility because it's not right at the overpass. And the board did grant the 30 feet height. Now, as far as the sign itself, you know, it's a standard model sign from Kia. It's I can call it a handsome sign if you want to call it that. But I do have a picture of what the sign actually looks like in reality.
But 163.46 square feet is just too much.
No, I understand, and it's interesting because the sign is monolithic, and the way Cindy understood what I say Cindy, she's the sign inspector. She computed the square footage as just the area at the top. Now, again, the area is considered twice the amount because of the thickness of the sign, so they're counting both sides, which is, you know, really not the case when you're talking about square footage of the visual of a sign. but because of the thickness of the sign, they're
That's the
counting.
code.
I understand that, but that's something that it's not all that reasonable because a 12-inch wide sign is really not, I mean, even if you have lighting inside a sign and you have plastic lenses, you see the bulbs when the sign's only 12 inches thick, but that's neither here or there. But as far as the sign itself, I'd like to show you the pictures of it. As you can see what's lit and what's not lit on it. It's kind of important because the only thing that really lights up are the Kia letters. So it's
All right,
not like this whole thing is.
All right, I had the
fully
opportunity to speak to planning.
Mhm.
And planning will tell you that, which seems reasonable. They are looking for a depth of 2 feet of sign and 130 square foot rather than 163. I mean, this thing looks like something that the ancient Egyptians built for the Pharaoh.
Well, again, I don't build them.
How big is the Audi sign? Or was the Audi?
Right here, I have a good.
So I think 130 is probably a good number. Hey, sir, don't do that. No, don't even apologize. Just don't do it. Go ahead.
If I may?
Yes.
This is the historic.
One second, he'll be right there.
Was 12 by 12, 144 square feet at the top, another 4 by 4 underneath. So it was literally like 160 square feet per side. So that would have been considered a 320 square foot sign today. After that, there was an Audi sign there.
But do you see the difference in all these signs? There's a post and then there's a sign.
I understand that. And
Okay.
the
So what do
Kia-
you want
I
to bring
mean,
it down to?
But these are.
What do you want
model-
to bring it down to?
Okay, I can't change it. I can't change the depth because I don't build them.
Well, then somebody's got to change it. Now, listen to
I
me.
understand.
Listen to me. We hear it all the time. It's built by McDonald's. It's built by their specification. We can't change it. Then our retort is, then you don't have the sign.
And that's sad for the dealership because they're.
Well, we're not worried about the sadness and the, hang on a second.
I understand.
The happiness or the sadness of the dealership. We have to work with the code.
Wow.
And it just can't be whatever somebody wants because it's going to make Kia happy. So what I'm saying is planning who does this will tell you, and she told me, that 130 square foot is where they're looking at and 2 feet in depth.
Well, I tell you this, I think I had a good suggestion. And the reality would be that he would not get a sign from Kia Corporate, which is something that he has an issue with his.
Well, that's not our
I
problem.
understand. So what I'm suggesting, can we re-image the sign that's there now, which is less than 2 feet
You
thick?
want to come back with new numbers? I don't know what you want.
No, when I say a new number, if you look at the existing sign that's there now, the upper section of it is 10 foot tall, 12 foot wide, 120 square feet. It's less than 2 feet thick. It's only about 18 inches thick. Would the board allow that sign to maintain itself and stay there as a Kia sign?
I could be wrong with this, but that's not what's done.
No, it's not. No.
You have to.
I understand that. I understand that. So.
We can't just say, yes, we'll allow that. We don't have it.
And I understand that. I think we should adjourn that portion of it. Can we
No, we
can we
adjourn the whole-
separate the
no,
pylon
no,
sign
no,
from everything else? Okay,
We can't. Then it gets too confusing.
okay.
So why don't you take an adjournment and come back with something more in line? You may want to speak to this gentleman. He looks like he's.
Sir, would you like to
here.
speak on? All right, come on up. Well, state your name and address and
My name is John Gentile. I'm general counsel for
John,
the
excuse me?
John Gentile, Gentile. I'm the general counsel for the Atlantic Automotive Group.
your address.
193 Sunrise Highway, West Islip, New York. At 193 Sunrise Highway, West Islip, New York, is the home of the Atlantic Automotive Group, which includes Atlantic Toyota. Atlantic Toyota presently maintains a 35-foot high monument sign. I know that you don't care about what manufacturers want, but unfortunately, manufacturers have gone away from what was called the lollipop sign, which is the one that you see that says Kia right now. Lollipop signs are big long sticks and a big
Yep,
sign
we
at
have
the
them.
top. They're now all going to what's now called the monument sign. The problem with the monument sign is that you've got all this wasted space up until you get to the very top where it finally says the name of the dealership. We're stuck with their image. In order for us to get cars from the manufacturer to have a business, quite seriously, we need to have signage that they've approved. What we've asked for is two things. If I
We
may-
can't approve this.
Okay, and when you say, sir, when you say you can't approve it, I'm just curious, 150 feet away from that sign, you approved a 35-foot sign.
But it's not a monolithic structure.
Yes, it is, sir.
Yeah, it's not the height.
Oh, okay. Okay, when I apologize, and I'm not an expert on this. When you mean depth, what is depth? Well, yeah,
It's almost like a cube.
Oh, so there's width and then there's thickness. Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if there was a way where they could design the sign that was the same width but thinner, that could possibly get us there? Mike, is there a picture? I just want to make sure that I understand.
So it's not- it's
Only
not
because
just
I have
depth.
to- I have to explain this to the factory.
It's not just depth, it's also area.
You've got a cube.
Okay.
Just if I may, I think something that's very important here is that the dealership has been a Kia facility for some time and has nothing on the plan. There are businesses.
And they're doing fine. That's not helping your argument.
That's,
Yeah,
I certainly don't know if that's the case.
No, I understand this because. But what I'm trying to say is that the ground sign is going to take some time to figure out. You know that. Can we get rid of that out of the application?
Yeah, you can withdraw it.
You want to withdraw that portion of the application?
Yeah.
Right, so we can put our buildings on.
Well, we haven't discussed that yet, but.
We haven't gotten there yet, but whatever we have a problem with, you need certain things immediately. I don't see an issue with you withdrawing various portions of the application that we're submitting.
I think we should hold the freestanding sign right now. I'll just because I don't feel this is something that's going to take some time to work out. And I think that we had discussed the freestanding sign that's there now. If we
They won't
go
allow
with
that. They won't allow that.
They won't allow that.
It's not there.
So your options here are either to take an adjournment on the overall application or to withdraw portions of it and ask for other
Well, I
variances.
know they do make a 25 model, which would be the next model shorter. I don't know if the depth changes with that, it's all changing,
You'll have to find out. That's why we suggest take an adjournment, find out what you can do, and then you come back to us and we'll have something in front of us, so we're not just kind of guessing, because we're guessing.
So we were hoping then to adjourn the pylon portion of it?
No, we can,
Withdraw it.
you can withdraw it, and then we can go work on the other portions of the
I appreciate that, and I really do, but that would take me another 6 to 8 weeks. I think I can get answers from Kia within 2 or 3 weeks, and we could just bring the whole, we could bring the whole thing back.
But we have to figure out when it fits in our schedule.
Yeah, so the earliest date would be April 25th.
Could we discuss the signage now?
No, we're adjourning it, you're withdrawing it.
You
or
got one
you're
application,
adjourning it.
either you would adjourn the whole application or you withdraw portions of it, but you can't hear part of it now. We won't issue a partial decision.
Okay, so gentlemen, do you want an adjournment?
Before we do that, is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this application? Didn't think so.
Okay,
So you want an adjournment?
Please, thank you.
Okay, so we will get back to you with an adjournment date. You want to give,
Well, you said you won't.
25th.
you want April 25th?
That's the soonest we can do.
Yeah, but you mentioned something about 3 weeks until you know a new size.
I said 3 weeks arbitrarily.
But we need to publish
It's
the
not
call.
arbitrary, we have to advertise it.
You said the 25th, I'm okay with the 25th.
He said it, but he's not in charge of the date.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's the boss. Let me just,
Whatever date, please
let me
what's the
explain
next
my
date?
error, because what we need to do is we need to publish the call.
I hear you, just tell me the date. It's good, and
But if you take 3 weeks, that doesn't give us enough time to publish it in time for April 25th.
I have a feeling you
Sir.
can get on the phone with Key and get this moved.
yes,
forward.
I'm simply
Okay.
saying,
That
if
he
you tell me the
initially
date, I can say yes.
Okay, May 9th.
May 9th,
Okay,
all right?
Sure.
Okay.
And you may, whatever you come up with, you may want to submit to Deidre at planning,
Yes.
because we rely on her, because we trust her judgment.
I appreciate it. I just didn't understand the cube issue when you were talking thickness. Now I understand.
Okay, so now you know kind of where you're headed, and we'll see you on May 9th.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And the next application was withdrawn.
Good, beautiful.
And we can go?
Yes, can we have a motion and a second on the withdrawal so I can do a decision?
Motion. Second.
All in favor of the withdrawal?
Thanks.
When's our next meeting?
2 weeks.
I'll be
The new
back.
chairman likes every other. That's
No, I like twice a month,
Yes, yeah.
which is what we all said.
This is
Yeah.
a smart chairman.
Yeah, well, we hopped around a little bit, so you wouldn't miss too many.
All right, so